Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Big Lair, Jack's Private Coffee Corner here, and I thought I would continue the action with another video here from my book, Emails from a Ninja, My Japanese Father-in-Law's Secret Life. This is Chapter 1, this is Email 3, and this one is from January 30th, 2011. Okay, let me get to it. Dear Larry, it was nice to talk to you and your family on Skype the other day. I am amazed that we can have a video chat and not have to pay the telephone or internet company any money. Now I understand the power of having an internet connection and Wi-Fi. I hope we can make Skype chats a regular activity. It sounds like Malaysia is not such a safe place for tourists, as you mentioned several of your co-workers getting robbed in their taxis in Kuala Lumpur. Yes, I would agree that some of the taxi drivers are part of organized crime groups, and they have a system in place for robbing tourists. There are also probably other gang members waiting at various points of the taxi driver's route to help the muggers get away as quickly as possible. I know you carry a knife with you, but remember that not engaging the enemy is the best course of action if possible. Considering the taxi muggings, if you were a passenger and had that happen, I would recommend keeping your cool while you remember as many details about the taxi driver and his taxi as possible. Then you can take your time to search for the driver and his cab at a later date. From your description, it seems there is no violence, only a wish to take money and personal belongings such as watches and cell phones. The two muggers get into the back seat, squeezing the victim in the middle, and then take the valuables. I will study this situation and give you my recommendation on how to take out the two muggers first and then how to deal with the driver. Not that I want you to try it, but it is good to see a situation from many perspectives. Moving to another topic, you heard my wife complain on Skype the other day about my playing the Nintendo Wii. Yes, I have been playing every day for several hours each day. With the weather being cold and my wife not wanting to get out of the house, I need some distraction. And this is good mental training, I think, which a guy my age can use. My father-in-law is close to 70 years old at this time. I have the high score on most of the games, with the tank game being my favorite. My high score is over 500 points. I think it takes about 3.5 hours to reach that score. It's much better than watching TV, and some strategy is involved. Are you still playing the sniper game you have on your PC? I would like to try that one, but don't think I would be able to install it. I hope you guys all have a fun time during the Chinese New Year. Eat some rice cakes for me. Take care, your father. Okay, so in this email, he's referring to an email that I sent to him. I hadn't been in Malaysia very long at this point. I went January 7th, 2011, and I was on a big government project for the Malaysian Ministry of Education, how can I say it? An English upskilling program for teachers in Malaysia. Anyway, and boy, I think by this time, I'd only been there, 13 days, and already some of my coworkers had been robbed taking taxis. Now, I had taken several taxis with my kids. My kids were small then. My youngest son had just turned 2 at this time, just turned 2, like a week after we arrived in Malaysia. And everyone got sick, and so I was taking them to a hospital, back and forth, all my kids, and taking taxis, and nothing happened to us, luckily. But some of my coworkers were robbed. They would get squeezed, like they'd get into a taxi, and the taxi driver would, happen to stop at an intersection. doors would open, two big guys would get in on each side, and maybe one guy would have a knife and they'd just say, give me what you got. People would give everything up. So that's what he's referring to. That's what he's referring to. Malaysia is generally a safe place. I was there for 7 years, and I think it was pretty much a safe place, although, you know, it could be an unsafe place if you project that sort of energy. I was in a few situations where I felt like people were watching me and they were like setting me up for something. I'm very aware of what's going on around me. And so I remember actually being in Indonesia. Well, actually I was in Sabah. Sabah is eastern Malaysia. It's on Borneo Island. You know, Borneo Island, part of Borneo Island is two Malaysian states, Sabah and Sarawak, and then the rest is Indonesia. So I was in Sabah, and I was there working with a school. I think I was there for a week, staying at this hotel, and to get to an eating area, I had to kind of walk through this shady area full of all these little tiny shops. And I remember one night, just at dusk, I was walking back to my hotel and took a different route just to see what was down this other street. And I just felt like, oh, there's someone behind me. So I went into a couple stores and I noticed, oh, those guys behind me now are in the store. And I found a back exit in the store, and I jumped out the back exit and got back onto this other street. And by then, 4 guys were behind me. It looked like they were working together, getting close to me, and I was able to get to this other street. And then they just sort of gave up, I think, because this other street was a little bit bigger, had more traffic and more people, and it would have been a much easier place for me to defend myself against 4 attackers than this previous other place. So yeah, that was about the only time I felt like, oh, okay, this is a shady situation. And there were other times when I'm guessing people were watching me, but more than likely they thought twice about it. I'm kind of a big guy. I'm 6'4". I generally weigh between 250 and 260 pounds. So, yeah, and as the email said, I carried a knife with me every day. Everywhere I went, I carried a knife. Now, the thing about carrying a knife or anything, then my advice for, in America, you can carry a gun, right? They have this open carry or concealed carry if if there's probably something you have to do, fill out some paperwork or register somewhere. You should take a class on gun safety, whatever. Each state is different, but if you're going to carry a knife or a gun, I had a friend of mine years ago who was a fantastic martial artist. He was a police officer. Probably one of the, toughest people I had ever met, as far as, he had been in a lot of hand-to-hand combat in military situations in various countries. And he said to me, if you carry a gun or a knife, before you even put it in your pocket or put the gun in the holster on your belt, you have to decide that I will use this to defend myself, even if it means killing another human being. So he said, if you can't say to yourself every time you put that knife in your pocket or you put that gun in your holster on your belt, if you cannot say, I am ready to use this weapon to defend myself or my family and kill someone if necessary, if you can't say that, you have no reason to carry that. You just get yourself in trouble. If you cannot say that, but you do carry it, you may pull it out in a time of need, but you won't be willing to use it. It'll most likely get taken away from you and used against you. So if I had any advice for anybody who's carrying a weapon, I would tell them the same thing. Hey, if you're not ready, if you're not willing to go all the way with this, to use it for your defense, then don't have anything. Okay, so Malaysia, can be a shady place, can be a dangerous place. Taxis are not the safest. They're not the best taxi drivers in the world, which is why companies like Grab and what's the other one? The Uber. Uber and Grab. That's why Uber and Grab are so popular in Malaysia, because you get good service, people are honest, you know what the prices are up front. I've been cheated in so many taxis in Malaysia. I just stopped using the taxis with Malaysian taxi drivers. Just incredible. They would double the fees on me. They would, I knew where I was going. I knew all the areas, but there were times where for my job I just had to take a taxi. And they would take me the wrong way. They would go a roundabout way, and I would say, hey, what are you doing? You're taking the wrong way. No, I know. I say, hey, I live here. I live here, man. So I was cheated a lot in taxis, so just be aware of that. And they love to double the fees on tourists. And then they'll threaten you with calling the police if you don't pay. But actually, they're the ones that would get in trouble for it, which is something most tourists don't understand. So Malaysia is a great country. I had a fantastic time there, wonderful memories, but some parts can be dangerous, If you give off the victim vibe, or that you're nervous or fearful, there are predatory criminals who will take advantage of you. So that's what he's referring to in that email. Okay, that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it.